item number 7, the floodplain map adoption. This is all new to me, so
Okay.
I'll let you
Well,
explain it.
we received that letter from FEMA last week, I got a copy of it, and it just describes that they have finalized the maps, and so from this point on we have 6 months in which to decide whether to adopt or not adopt the new floodplain maps. We did have an informational meeting last year with FEMA and the DNR arranged it. Stan did attend it over here. We're just at the point now where a decision has to be made sometime. I did call yesterday morning Bill Puccio, the state director for floodplain management, and explained to him that Mitchell County does have a number of homes and property owners that will be newly included in the expanded floodplain maps, and naturally they're going to have a number of questions and concerns, and asked him if he could come up here to at least field some of those questions, the ones that are going to be more technical, that are going to be beyond our abilities to answer properly. And he said yes, that's obviously, this is a statewide thing. That's what they've been doing for the last 6 months down there, is going to all these meetings, and they're booked up for the next 3 months, but they're certainly willing to put themselves on the schedule to come up here to help field those questions. So that's where we're at right now.
So when you mentioned about finalizing the map, when we had those meetings, or that meeting that day,
Yeah.
I brought up concerns on different areas that had been changed, that had never flooded in '93, and that now they're saying this is part of the floodplain.
Right.
And at that time, they explained that there was not going to be any changes made to those maps.
No, the only way you can change it is to go through a LOMA, a letter of amendment, where you have a surveyor come in and actually prove that, yeah, this obviously is not in floodplain. I mean,
that can happen?
Yeah, sure can. I mean, it's
They never
happened a couple of times.
They didn't explain that at that meeting that day.
Well, sure they did. It's a
No, they didn't.
letter of amendment. We've had 2 of them done in this county already. Anybody has a right to dispute whether or not they are in the floodplain.
Well, I think that's why these folks are here.
Well, sure.
Let's go through this letter of amendment then.
Sure. You just fill out, you have a surveyor come survey your property, and if your elevation, according to the surveyor, is above the 1 foot above the 100-year floodplain mark, then they will take you out of the floodplain. But if you are not, then you're still classified in the floodplain.
So FEMA came in and changed this previous map,
They've expanded it, yes.
expanded it,
Yes.
probably because of the 2 500-year floods or whatever we had.
What the reasoning is for doing it, I don't know.
Or,
I would guess that it's insurance companies that are pushing it more than anything.
So in other words, they put you in and then you have to try to get out of it. If that's
Yeah, that's the worst part of it. I mean, that's what the big complaint is. I mean, right now, if you Google new floodplain maps, you're just going to see hundreds of thousands of people blogging about how mad they are because suddenly they're in a floodplain map and they've never been in a floodplain before, and they've never had flooding on their property, and now they have to go out and get an engineer to pay to prove that they're not. But it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. I mean, I don't know any way to stop it.
do we have to approve this?
No, if we do not approve it, then suddenly the people of the county are no longer eligible for the national insurance, flood insurance program, which is typically 30 to 45% less than privatized flood insurance.
Okay,
Plus it also moves us out of the eligibility for, or may move us out of the eligibility for flood disaster relief, government flood disaster relief.
But in the meantime, we don't have to approve this for 6 months, is that?
Yeah, that's for 6 months.
So when's that ending date?
It is February 6, 2013. But the truth is, you probably want to get ahead of the ball game because there are certain grandfathering rules that people can take advantage of if they can prove that when they built their house, they did it according to the floodplain maps of that time, saying that they were not in the floodplain, which most of the people are going to be able to do. And that will allow them to retain their insurance, if they have national flood insurance, at that same rate for a certain period of time. Again, we're going into some of the technical areas that you almost have to be working with this floodplain stuff every day to understand.
So in other words, we would be better off to wait until January sometime if these folks want to try to to get out of the floodplain. But yet again, if we don't do anything, it really puts the county at a disadvantage.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they put you between a rock and a hard spot. It's really, terrible the way they go about it. But what they're going to say, I mean, what I interpreted from the meeting was that the insurance companies are offering cheaper insurance if the county is responsible and is not allowing people to build or develop in floodplain zones. But now the problem comes in that the floodplain zone has increased in size, and there are people that fall into that newly revised area of the flood zone, and it really puts them in a hard spot.
What's the advantage of being in this new floodplain?
The advantage of being in it? There is no advantage of being in it.
But then you can get lower cost insurance.
Oh, you mean for the county to adopt the, I mean, right now we currently are
No,
a
but I mean,
member
these
of
folks,
it.
if their houses right now are high and dry, never been flooded,
Right.
so then what's the downside or what's the upside?
The downside is the county, the citizens of the county will no longer be eligible for the nationally insured flood insurance, which is considerably cheaper than private insurance.
But how many carry flood insurance? I mean,
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know how.
Flood.
I need to ask the question, why is this even being changed, or why was it even considered changed? Who made the decision to expand the floodplain?
FEMA,
FEMA.
yes.
By anybody's request, or just came in?
It just came in.
They just came in, and so they drew this map and said, everybody.
Well,
Yes,
in-
this
Yeah, I
is
think it was,
nationwide.
wasn't it down at Cedar Rapids that they showed the 100-year floodplain?
Yeah.
At that time, they showed where this would flood in 100 years, but this last flood, it was way beyond that original map. And so I think that's one of the reasons why they started changing these maps. Is
Yeah,
because of the,
what they say one of the reasons is they haven't done an update of the floodplain maps in our area. It's been 20-some years, and there's naturally been, development along the waterways, more drainage lines. There's multiple reasons why they say. I mean, I'm not advocating for or against. You guys get to decide whether or not to.
So if the county
adopt or
turns it
not.
down,
Right.
what does that do for the county?
oh, well,
For-
we wouldn't be eligible
for-
for the FEMA.
Yeah, the citizens of the county will no longer be able to get the national flood insurance.
Which citizens are we talking about?
Anybody that has flood insurance in the unincorporated areas of the county. Each town has its ability to adopt or not adopt.
So if you leave it the way it is right now, if you voted to leave it the way it is, then everything just stays the same?
No,
No.
we will lose the ability to get discounted flood insurance.
So what you're saying is a few people might benefit, and many people are gonna lose thousands and thousands of dollars on their property.
I don't know that.
No, I know
how
that.
many-
I mean, my
Yeah.
property, my two properties are worth $200,000 less than they were before this talk came up.
Yeah, and it
and-
could be, and that's.
And this all started with me because I have two properties for sale. One of them had a buyer. All of a sudden, Maine Realty says they backed out of the deal because they went to their loan officer and you're in the floodplain. I said, no, I'm not. And then he handed me this map and he says, yes, you are. That's where it started with me, and then we got into talking, and because nobody knew anything about this. All of a sudden, we're in the floodplain. I mean, I've got $750,000 worth of property sitting up there that I wouldn't have built it there if. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who's benefiting from this?
FEMA and the insurance companies. I mean,
Well, screw the insurance companies. They got plenty of money.
I mean, that's the only thing I can see. I don't
I'm just
understand.
trying to figure out how the county is
And
even.
they're holding us over a barrel, basically. I mean, they're saying if you do not adopt this, then you're no longer eligible for for this discounted insurance, and you may not be eligible for any more disaster relief funding because we're not responsible and we're allowing people to build in floodplains.
Well, because last flood we had, I mean, how many thousands of dollars did we have in damage to our road system and
Right.
bridges and things like that? You're basically saying that we wouldn't be eligible for that
It says may.
May, you know, okay. That means May,
It's their choice.
yeah.
So if our bridges get washed out and our roads get washed away
Well,
and
maybe,
ditches filled with corn stalks again, we won't get any money to.
That's why I say it's a very complicated issue, and if you do any look at it on the internet, you can see, you know, everybody in the country is having to deal with this. These new floodplain maps are coming out now, and the only way we're going to be able to really get the right answers is to have the professionals come in
Are they
here.
coming in?
This-
That's my next
and he
question.
will
Are they
come- I
gonna
mean, that's why I'm here
come in
to-
For a meeting or anything up here in this area somewhere, or?
Well, he said to call, to talk to you guys. This is what he told me yesterday morning. He said, talk to you guys, and if they feel that they are going to adopt it, then he will come up here and attend the meeting.
But in the meantime, wouldn't these folks be better off to go ahead and possibly hire that surveyor, engineer, whatever?
Yeah, that's their choice. I mean, it's no guarantee that it's gonna take them out.
Why should it cost us because the government tells us we have to do it? I don't understand.
That's the
Something
big
else forced down
controversy.
our throat.
You know,
We're
as-
just,
Another mandate.
I've got pictures of the 500-year flood. I'm gonna try to forward it to you, Bob.
Okay.
It is nowhere even close to where they got the floodplain, not even close. It's 8 foot more before it crests onto where my sand pit is now, 8 foot. What are you talking about, 10,000 year flood? It's- How do they come up with these numbers?
Well, they come up with those numbers. They use a LiDAR. It's a new system of radar mapping, and they claim that it is. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm advocating this, because I am not. But I'm saying that they claim that it is so far proven to be 97% accurate. And all the people that have gone in and contested it, you know, they've only found 3% of it to not be valid. So,
Hey, Mark, I looked at this map here. This is the proposed new one
yes, that's the
in
new
2009.
revised.
Well, what did this look like?
The one before, it was much thinner. Just scraped along the edge.
I'm just saying because I had a flood elevation done
Yeah,
in 2009.
yeah,
And at that time, I was in the floodplain.
yeah.
Now, that's what I was told. And the only way to get insurance then was to, and the only, and they, I don't know, it must have been government then, for my little house was $2,200 a year.
Right.
And they won't give you a loan, because the,
Unless you have the insurance, right?
right. So, that's my question. What has changed from 2009 to this particular map? When we were in it anyway, according to what I was told. In fact, I
For you,
was
nothing
told.
has changed.
I
In
was,
fact-
in fact, a couple of years ago, or, no, way back in 2006, I was told that we weren't not in the floodplain. However, then in 2009, I had this elevation certificate done,
Yeah.
and I was told I was. So I
Just your
just,
basement's in the floodplain.
right, right. I suppose if you take, you know, as far as the floor is above the floodplain, but
Yeah.
they still won't give you a loan because you gotta have the insurance.
Right. And this is also going to affect, say the individuals that do have flood insurance right now through the national plan. If you guys don't adopt it, then suddenly that goes away and they have to go out and they get privatized insurance, which is gonna cost them more. I mean, that's one other
How many
side of the
people in
coin.
Mitchell County have flood insurance?
I don't know.
Not very many, I'll bet.
I would think that if you take the people that are outside of the floodplain, there's probably not that many. So,
Did you have the new maps, Mark? Over there?
yeah, there's big maps. I mean, you can also look it up online too. It's, all you do is go to FEMA online and you can punch in your address and it'll show you the same map that you got right
I just
there.
don't like the idea that after the fact, now we're being told that our property's worth a lot less money, and after the fact, I mean, it's like, yeah, if I was a stupid person that built the floodplain, well, then I did what I did. Nobody's to blame but me, but all of a sudden you're throwing me into something that,
But keep in mind, this is not the county government doing this.
No.
And, you know.
but it's the county government that's
What's
gotta
the
vote on if they
legislature
wanna
saying
adopt it or not.
What's the
You
legislature
know,
saying?
even if we don't adopt it, that doesn't mean your insurance company's not gonna come to you and say, you have to carry flood insurance.
I don't have flood insurance now, don't need it.
Pay to get out.
But I'm saying that they may look at the newly revised flood maps and they may say, you have to now carry flood insurance.
Mark, you mentioned something about the grandfather rule. What do you mean by that? What were you meaning by that?
I don't know all the details of it, but from what I understand, the godfathering rule is that if you currently have insurance, or if you can get insurance at least 2 months before the adoption, then your insurance will remain that same amount. It won't go up because you were newly into a floodplain zone for a certain period of time.
So the only way to, is do a letter of amendment and prove that we're not in a floodplain to get out of it? What if you have documentation from previous DNR rulings and things like that in previous, before buildings were built down there? Would that be something to submit besides that?
I'm sure that could be part of your Loma request, yeah.
If this is benefiting the county, which it sounds like it is, if it goes through, good for the county, I think the county should help us figure this out. I mean, they should be hiring a surveyor and helping us people out. If it's gonna help the county, they should help us. Why should we have to eat the cost to benefit the county?
Well, I mean,
That's my
Sure.
thought. I mean, I'm not here looking for something free, but I don't like something shoved down on me and taking money away from my pocket because it's gonna benefit the county.
I won't either, but I mean, I guess the supervisors need to keep in consideration for if you decide not to adopt it, when you start getting phone calls saying, hey, suddenly my insurance went up double.
So
because
what?
you guys aren't
I'm here
continuing-
saying my property's worth a lot less
I
money.
know. That's what
So
I'm
it's
saying,
a
that
catch-22 situation. How are we
Yeah.
gonna make everybody happy?
You're not. I mean, FEMA has left the burden on you guys to somebody else.
Yeah.
Steve, you got that paper?
Yeah.
Okay. This was given to us when we got our, what do you call it, papers on our land.
Okay.
This was sent to Vern Tanner from the Department of Natural Resources. 1994. What the important part says, we provided our estimation of the 100-year flood elevation at the project site. The applicants have since provided survey information which indicates that the natural ground elevations for the proposed subdivision area are above that of the 100-year flood. Therefore, a floodplain permit for construction of cabins within this subdivision is not required from this department.
Right.
Now they're saying, forget that.
That's exactly what they're saying.
they're just changing it.
If that could go like with our letter of amendment.
That would,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
something you'd need to send with that letter of amendment.
yeah, if there's already been surveying done on the property, then there should be known elevations. I don't know how long the surveying, I mean, if you handed them a survey from 50 years ago, I mean, obviously they're not gonna take it. But, so I don't know what their time frame of acceptance for surveying is. But, that could possibly save you the surveying cost.
What's the cost of survey?
$500 to $1,500, depending on where you're at and how much you gotta do.
Each property has to do that, or should it just be a blanket?
I think we just have a blanket area up there. Did you have to do yours?
1,500.
1,500.
Where would we find out how long the surveying lasts according to like the laws and? like,
I can call, and that's another reason why I wanted to get Bill Capuccio up here to answer some of these technical questions. There's no way I can.
Yeah, well, I think we need to get the head honcho up here to
The sooner the better, because time is ticking.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, like I say, if people wanna get in on that godfathering thing, you know.
Yeah, you did
get
mention
into
something
it.
about the grandfather clause or something,
Yeah.
so I'd like to find out more about that.
Well, but how about if we don't do it at our meeting? I mean, we could have a regular meeting.
Right, it has.
That we can
yeah.
attend, but,
Right, it can't be, yeah.
Not during the,
yeah, not
Right,
during.
not during a supervisor meeting, just a separate meeting specifically for this.
he said to find out, what day of the week would work best for you guys.
Well,
So
what'll
I'll
work
work it
best
out
for
with,
these folks? I mean, that's.
Okay.
Can we request a letter sent to? so
Or you
that
want an
so we
evening
know
meeting
when
or
it
a-
is?
Oh, when the meeting's coming up, yeah, I'll definitely send it to anybody that Lowell has on the roster here.
Okay, thank you.
But as you can see, supervisors, it's some major concern to property owners.
Oh, definitely.
On our side, where, like I said, we're asked to lose and somebody else is gonna gain. It's like, okay, how does this balance out?
Yeah, it doesn't.
And I honestly would have not did what I did, knowing,
I realize that.
And I think the unfortunate
A
truth
federal
is,
decision apparently from
yeah,
somebody's being lobbied by the insurance companies, I'm sure, to.
yes, yeah, it's gotta be what it is. But the unfortunate truth is, I believe that even if they don't adopt it, it doesn't mean that, you know, people are still going to consider that your property is in a really formed floodplain zone.
They came through and they did the elevations with their satellites or whatever.
Yeah.
Why can't we use those?
You can ask them if they can, I know.
At no cost to us.
I mean, what they'll do is they'll say, well, we did it once, this is the numbers, you want us to go back over, and if they did and they come back with the same numbers, then, you know, nothing would have been gained.
One thing that the county might wanna keep in mind is that all these properties, I don't know how many other properties, I don't know if Cedar Village is included in that too, because I haven't seen an extended map. But that'll also reduce the property value of all these properties, which in turn will give you less tax dollars to work with. I mean, that's another consideration.
That's true, very true.
So it's in our best interest to get this resolved.
everybody's interest.
Right. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Calvin. Somebody pull a rug out from under me, I wouldn't be too happy about it either.
Well, like I said, I didn't know anything of it until it came back to me and said, our prospect, it can't jump because their lending people won't touch it. You're in a floodplain. I said, no, I'm not. Well, I knew nothing about it.
It'd probably touch it, but the cost of their insurance would be so sky high.
Yeah.
They wouldn't-
Well, they just backed out. They didn't.
So, okay, then, Mark, you're gonna try and
Yes, I will
contact this
arrange.
individual and set up a date, what's convenient for these folks, evening or daytime meeting, or?
I don't know if Bill's available evenings or
Okay.
not, but I will tell him preferably we would rather have it at an evening. I'm assuming most of
Would
you
that
would
be
rather
more
have it at
convenient
an
for everybody involved? I'm assuming y'all work for a living yet.
It'd be good to try to get it settled before elections.
Well, sooner the better, sooner the better. Sooner the better.
Yes, I will check into that and get back to you and let you know
Okay,
as to when he can come up.
is that okay with everybody then? Are we all
I'm fine.
on the same page?
We're working on it anyway.
Try to get something going here. These mandates come down and blindside us. So thanks, Mark,
For all the bad news.
for coming in to